Hey everybody, just got a message saying it might be poor connection, so I hope this works. But I am Daryl Davey from Oak and Hollow Games down here in the game room, and I'm just doing my typical Saturday check-in. I know we've been posting quite a bit on there. I'm sorry if it's kind of annoying, but it's been an exciting week. People have really taken to the houses. Thank you for those of you who have purchased a house yourself. For those of you who have yet to do so, you certainly still have time. I think we have about half of them still left. So if that's something you're interested in doing, our first, I say live stream, it might not be filmed live just because of quality and edits and stuff. I'd rather have a more crisp picture, but the names of the calls will still happen this Thursday when we do our Open Hollow game test night. So we may try to do live, otherwise I may just have it filmed and then I'll put up the full edited video when we're all done. But either way, anybody who owns the house will be getting a shout out if anything happens near there, and we are hoping that that is the case. I'll come back to that in a little bit, but I want to discuss the title of today's video, I guess, is tackling the problem of having two chaperones. In a previous video, two previous videos now, I think I've mentioned that I'd be getting to this, and it's been something that people have asked about for quite some time. And it has been something that's been on our mind quite a bit. We've brought it up in different playtesting and how we're going to do it throughout the years, actually. And it was always pushed back to, there's weird little problems that come up with it that require bigger solutions than one might first suspect. And it's not necessarily the intent of the game. So for me, to necessitate two chaperones would mean you'd need to have a larger game going on. This Thursday, March 9th, when we do that, I'm hoping to have what would be, by this fall, all of the monsters that were released, which would mean it would be Mischief, Cog, Noita from the main pack, Krusty Ray from the expansion, and then Graveyard Smash will have Geist and Zed. So that's 6 monsters on the field. So 6 times 4, that's a ton of trick-or-treaters for a single chaperone. For those of you who haven't played, the chaperone's in control of all the trick-or-treaters. They're like a tactician. There's more of them. Oh man, not yours, but mine. But you're... Ooh, being laggy, huh? Maybe I will... I'll go on for a couple more minutes, and then if this seems like it's still bad, let me know, and I will refresh. Internet's been real cruddy all day here. So, oh, perfect. All right, good. So with that said, the chaperone has 4 trick-or-treaters per monster playing. All Hallows Eve can expand and contrast with the more people that are playing. So, even with all 4 monsters on, that's 16 trick-or-treaters, and that is about the limit of what most people want to deal with. And then now, if we're doing 2 additional ones, that's 8 more monsters. So 24 total, or trick-or-treaters. That's a lot of little pieces to remember and to use well. I think somebody who is maybe accustomed to the role could do that, but they'd have to be very familiar with the trick-or-treaters and very confident of all of their abilities and stuff that goes on. So, that's where splitting the responsibility between 2 chaperones has come up a lot. Well, why don't you just have 2 chaperones? And that sounds like a brilliant idea. First, you gotta have a game big enough to necessitate it. Otherwise, maybe you have 4 people and 2 people aren't as confident of running the monsters and want to split each, so that'd be, 4 trick-or-treaters each. And that all sounds great on paper. It should just be as simple as, all right, you take half the trick-or-treaters, you take half the trick-or-treaters. We're kind of frenemies going after the same candy, but there's problems that come from that. and then whichever trick-or-treater has the most candy, or chaperone has the most candy at the end wins. And if there's a tie for that, the chaperone with the most trick-or-treaters left would then win for being a better chaperone and keeping them alive. But between our panic scale, which increases abilities the fewer trick-or-treaters left on the board, and how chaperones move trick-or-treaters around, it comes into a lot of little irky problems. So I have a list, and I shared this with Phil, and it was 7 things that I had found that were worrisome. And then I'll give you some of his responses, and most likely what we'll be doing, depending on how many folks we get for the live test, we'd need 8 or 7, including myself, to play with 6 monsters and the 2 chaperones. So we will see. But as I said, I'm going to read what I had sent to Phil and then some of his responses. I think they were pretty well thought out. And then one of the ones that kind of got herky, because I want your opinions as well. That's why we're putting this up. So if you have anything, comments or things you want to say that maybe you have a different idea or a different suggestion, let us know. Put it in the comments below, so we don't lose track of it elsewhere or it's in a messenger. Just put it in the comments below, and we'll talk about it. I'd love that. So here are the 7 things that I was concerned about, and I'll try to read them in verbatim here. 1, I think there has to be an alternating first player. I see where... oh, hold on. Never mind. I have to go back up. Alright. My list. That was Phil's answer. Alright, turn order. So who goes first? This would be big if 2 opposing trick-or-treaters kick to the same house on the same turn. Who gets to go first means they get a chance at the candy, while the other one has to risk being there and knowing there's a far less of them having a chance to get the candy. Alternating each round would work, maybe whoever has less candy last round goes first the next turn. So, and I'll kind of summate it a little bit. Basically, whoever moves their chaperone, their trick-or-treaters first, gets an advantage. So if there are Team A's trick-or-treaters and Team B's trick-or-treaters are an equal distance from a house that has a doorbell token. One trick-or-treat, if A gets to move first, boom, boom, they're in front of the door. That means B doesn't have a chance unless this one gets wiped out, and they still have to wait till next turn. So you effectively have to wait 2 turns to even get a chance at this candy. So there's some of that, like, blocking going on, and alternating every other turn is fine. But then it's determined on how do we determine who goes first. I think it would be you get your trick-or-treaters, and whoever has the lowest total defense total would go first. And it seems to be like a nice, like, mathy way to have it done. And then we're back and forth on then if it constantly alternates back and forth, which would be okay. The problem with it being constant, though, is much more luck-based. You might be playing very well and have gotten to this house, and just because it's the other chaperone's turn to go first, they get the candy first. That's not skill, that's luck, and even though I do like luck in my games, that's why this game has card draw and dice roll, and it's different all the time. That's more random chance than it is a binary, like yes or no. So if it were to be where the chaperone who got the least amount of candy goes first next turn, that kind of boosts their chances of catching up. Because there's a way that one chaperone could just completely, because of how the turns that they can score on go, wipe out the other one. So that's one. Panic level. So that was number 1. So if you have any comments on that, put it down there. I'll give Phil's response. That was the one we went back and forth on a little bit. The rest of these were kind of simpatico. But 2, panic level. Do we go by trick-or-treaters left on the board, the entire map, or by each chaperone's individual trick-or-treaters. So the panic scale is when you lose 50%, you're down to 75%, or you're down to your last trick-or-treater. If two people are on different panic levels, there could be some weird interactions of how stuff goes. Honestly, gut reaction, I think that awareness zones might get kind of nuts, with one person being, like, at their final survivor and someone else being kind of mid. But that would have to be tested to be seen. But spoilers, I think just each chaperone following their own panic level and keeping track of that is what we'll go with. It seems to make the most sense. It was different back when we had originally brought this up. But 3, how many do each chaperone get? As I said before, for each monster, there's 4 trick-or-treaters. So 2 chaperones, it splits down the middle. That's fine. That's probably what we do. So if we had the 6, each chaperone would then get, so it'd be 24 trick-or-treaters, split in half would be 2, or 12. Each chaperone would have 12 trick-or-treaters, which is very handleable. They would just have to then keep in their heads, like, all right, I'm down to 6, that's my 50, I'm down to 4, that's my 75, and 1 is your survivor. So I think that too kind of has solved itself already, but it was something that I could see people having some issues with. I don't know if it really messes with the math as much as I would have thought, so everything should still be fine on that one. 4, not as much of a problem, but if they win, this is how ties are broken. It would be whoever has the most candy, and then the highest amount of surviving trick-or-treaters after that. 5 would be big, the placement at the beginning of the game. So who gets to place first, where they get to, like, the very first trick-or-treater probably go, you place 1, they place 1, back and forth, back and forth. I think that whoever got to pick first, or go first, places second. So there's kind of that balance, I think is what Phil and I had decided on. That seems just to make the most sense. Whoever gets to move first places second, so, or places first moves second, I guess. But 6, what happens? Oh, this is a big one. And it's hard because I don't want to add a bunch of extra rules. Like, this could be a supplementary thing I'm just going to post here on the group. And then in subsequent printings, probably have something in the rulebook for multiple chaperones once I get the verbiage down. But what happens when one chaperone is completely wiped out before the other one is? That, especially if it's like an early wipe just because of circumstances on the board, or 2 monsters just happen to be closer to one chaperone's trick-or-treaters and take them all out first, what does that person do now that they're out of the game? To me, that's a big one. I don't want someone just sitting around bored, especially if they just kind of got ganged up on, because that's like a double feel bad. But I don't know a smooth way to give them something to do that was of value still, that doesn't add in a lot of extra stuff. Hey, Scott, how's it going? So that is something we have to figure out, is what does the person sitting out during that time do? And maybe you just be an adult and you're just like, I'm out of the game and I get to watch. But it is, these games can go on for a while, so it would be boring to sit there if you got taken out in 5 turns and you have to wait another 6, 7 turns before the game's over. So I would love to hear anyone's thoughts on that, who's played before, or some options of other board games or card games you've played where a loser gets to interact somehow. I know there's a good answer out there, whether it's some sort of, they get to interact with rolls somehow, or something, you know, they can push someone's luck or give somebody an extra movement or something. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to add a ton, because there's like 120 copies of All Hallows Eve out there without these rules in them. So I don't want it to be a drastic change. And the situation that would arise where there'd be two chaperones anyways is not going to be common enough to have rules and validate talking about and get those answers done, but not necessitating like 8 extra pages of garble, right? And then last would be trick-or-treaters like the heroes. So the heroes give each other a +1 defense for every other hero that's around them. So if you have your team of 2 heroes and I have my team of 2 heroes and we're separate chaperones, do we boost each other? My gut also says yes. It gives for some... Like, you and the other chaperone are still trying to win the game. You're like the monsters now, where you're frenemies. You still have your own goal, but but you are on the same team with the same objective, because like you guys don't win at all if you're wiped out. So some camaraderie there I think would be good. And as of right now, and I think I'm gonna plan to play and say there won't be anyways, but there's no like, besides getting in someone's way or getting to a door first, there's not really a way to interact with trick-or-treaters, an opposing chaperones trick-or-treaters negatively, just because that's not what the game was for. Perhaps I could release a set of candy cards that could be used when playing with multiple chaperones that do have some interaction for that. Like, it could just be like, here's your multiplayer supplement for chaperones. I don't know. I don't know if that would be worth it. It would be worth my time to make and sell. People would really buy it or not, or if it's just better to have a text document saying these are the things, not change a bunch. And that's more the side I'm on. But let me know if you'd like maybe a supplement to add in where we could put in some extra pieces and cards for those sort of interactions, maybe something for people to do if they do get knocked out, so on. Let me know. I'd be curious to see what you think on that. But as of right now, I'd want to stay within the parameters. So, all of that said, I'll get to some of Phil's responses. He says, I think there has to be an alternating first player. I see we were going for less candy goes first, but it sounds like a penalty for playing well. I like the idea of the weaker team going first. It is easy, and I'm not sure if the teams or random would be better for selecting in the beginning. Do you pick like a group of 4, or do you both shuffle randomly and get them? I think it could be player's choice on that. But yeah, and we went back and forth, because for me, I don't see it as a penalty for playing good. I see it as more of a negative for the luck of it not being your turn. The example I gave him is in Pokemon. You have prize cards, and when you knock out an opponent's Pokemon, which is good, because you take out one of their guys, you also get to draw a prize card. So you win. You win more. You win for winning. And then in Digimon's card game, you have a security stack, which works similar when you knock out an opponent's Digimon, or you hit their security. It flips over, and there's a chance that it can do something. It can destroy the Digimon that was attacking. It can go to your hand to be used later. The person who was hit gets something. So, like, yeah, I'm one closer to losing, but now I've kind of got a boon on my side that might help. I'm more in that camp. I'm worried that might be... I don't know if I want to use the participation trophy, like, thing, but kind of like, is it like, does it just suck to suck here? It's not your turn. They're playing good. It happened to be their turn. They got lucky enough, and that's fine. That's rules. That's easy for me. Or do you do the, all right, well, whoever got the less candy gets to go first as kind of your reward for that luck of it not being your turn and not having a chance to get those candies. So let me know. That one's still out. I'm fine either way. I think they're both good solutions. For 2, Phil said he agrees that the panic should be for each chaperone. It would make it harder for monsters, but there are going to be more of them on the field, so I think that'll even out. And yes, and the chaperone is definitely the hardest position to play as, period. It's not scaled against you, and this Graveyard Smash, I have taken great efforts to make sure that it is working up. But, yeah, at any rate, So we both agree on that. They just each have their own panic level. 4, I like it simple. That was for the ties. 5, I think we go off of rule 1, and the person going second places first. And then 6, I don't know, but I'm guessing we come up with something good along the way. That was the one where we don't know what to do with other folks being out. So, and then he said something that makes it sound like he was smoking too much free-form herbal jazz, if you know what I mean. And he says, what if the chaperones are full cooperation? What if we all just get along and play together and they get to be a team? And I don't hate that idea. That's originally what I had thought, is they just two people play as a single chaperone. They just take that mental break and go, okay, I only have to worry about half of these things. We discuss, we go. It could get a little bogged down when, like, 2 chaperones may disagree with what they want to do. That works, but the only devil's advocate I have on that is people are competitive. I think people would have more fun competitively playing as chaperones than they would playing as a team. In my opinion. What's your opinion? I'd love to hear it. So those are the big 7 things. I told you I was going to go into detail on that a little bit here on one of my videos, and I wanted to get back to that because sometimes even talking out loud, it'll help me think like, oh yeah, actually, no, I can do this. And in mentioning having taken a step from skirmish for a little while, a week maybe, just to get those last few things, we went out to the Tap Exchange and some other places last night with my brother-in-law and my sister, Haley and Adam Graves, and we got to play a ton of rounds of skirmish while we were out there, which was a ton of fun. We had somebody at a table near us lean in, say hi. It was kind of questioning, so that was pretty neat. So if you're out there watching this, thanks for listening to a video for however long it's been going on, and it's nice meeting you. I hope you enjoy the games and stick around. But with that, sorry, it's got a weird notification. Oh, yeah, I realized that I need to add... Oh, no, I have +1/+1 tokens, so never mind, no. I already solved that problem. But it's good to take a step back, because then I can see what else is needed. And it just keeps it more fun for me. So I'll pivot, and I'll end this really quick with an update on the houses. I know it's just been spamming on the walls, especially some of our new folks here. That's probably kind of weird to see, like, oh, he's just selling imaginary houses on here. But it's coming to something. I think half the houses are sold now. So if you want to get on that, get on it quick. Thank you so much for the people who have. I think it's awesome. Just to show you, if the playtest goes as intended, to fill the map up, I had to make extra tokens. And there's 36 doorbell tokens on there, all lights out items or candy that are going to be going on that map. So, I mean, that's just an absolute buttload. For me, as a person who loves playing games just at like a ridiculous level, getting 7 people around the same board with all of that going on is going to be a ton of fun. And I'm going to bring up the board here. Hopefully it kind of shows not too... that glare is always terrible here. But you can see so far, a lot of those houses are being taken, and then whenever anybody comes and interacts near one of those houses during the plays, we'll call them out. So it's a fun little way to get your name shouted out, be part of the world, because once they're gone, they're gone. As far as I know, it's probably going to be one of the only boards. So it's getting good, and I think it's I think it's a fun way to get your name and be part of it, and the support has been awesome. Thank you for your donations. There's so much that goes on in the background, and having that kind of support financially helps out with any of the weird things that comes up, or I need to try and get a test thing made, or we need to try and do this to make a better product, or reach out to these people. All of that costs time and money, and having that kind of support it helps so much where this gets to go and continue on, hopefully far into the future. We are not done by any stretch of the imagination. You've yet to see even half of the monsters that are planned for All Hallows Eve. Skirmish will be coming out soon. I think that's going to be a hit. Not to put a feather in my own cap, but I think Skirmish is I think people are gonna dig it. Ironically, the Capture the Flag one that I was working with the kids, Dennis Morris, a coworker of mine, brought it home to his kids. They absolutely loved it. The kids at school have been loving it, and it's come farther. I have the first draft of the rule book made, which was like, I had made the pieces just to get it out of my mind so I didn't have to think about it, and then they sat there and I go, oh, well, that'll move like that. No, I'm not going to work on it. Okay, well, no, this can move like this, and then that's a good rule. And then I'm done. I'm not working on it anymore. Oh, but this, and then that's how it usually at least starts for me, is I just can't get off of the idea. So I'm super excited that the kids enjoyed the game. It was at their level to learn. It's supposed to be simple. And if that one tests well enough, that could also be one out that is out relatively soon. It would take nothing to produce this one, or develop, I should say, really past where it is already. So it's another one to play test. Plunder, Phil has gotten most of the names filled out for the cards. I think we're discussing some artwork on there. We're going to get a Plunder night in hopefully soon as well, just because I want to get that going. And so, plus a bunch of other things. I have a list of 3 or 4 pages, small font, all the stuff I want to come out. So stick around. And again, your support helps us do that and be able to take those risks and keep making better stuff for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I know this was a long one and there was a lot of stuff everywhere, but hopefully it was at least interesting for you. And please, if you have any suggestions or ideas, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. A lot of them will most likely get used. Truthfully, this has been something that's come up long enough, and I need to nail it down and figure out how we're going to have multiple chaperones. So next time I'll probably see you, if we do live, will be Thursday, starting at 6 till probably 9 for Oaken Hollow game test. If we do not do it live, I'll try to post that, and I will film it and try to have it edited and put up within like 4 or 5 days, just to get it out there again, because I want people to be able to hear their names on the board. I think it's going to be a super fun video. I just want it to be the best quality, and if our internet's too crappy to do good live stream, I don't want to deduct that from your viewing pleasure. So, at any rate, thank you so much for stopping into the Hollow today. For those of you who have joined us in the last week or so, thank you so much for your interest in being here. And for those of you who have stuck around, thanks for sticking around, truthfully. So, you all have a wonderful Saturday, and I will see you Thursday.